What age did I realize that I was a leader? I don't know if there was one particular age. I remember vividly in elementary school, I went to three actually, Clinton for kindergarten, Hamilton for first, second, and third, and then we literally moved around the corner and they bused me miles away to Como. But in third and fourth grades, I was a peer mediator, and this meant I got to be in everybody's business. But there was a time that I got in trouble or had some incident, and I remember being pulled aside and saying how, being told that that didn't look good. Kerry, how are you going to be a peer mediator? And now you were sitting in here and having to have peers, have a conversation with you about controlling your temper or mouth or something like that. Later on in high school, there's this cycle every few years where they want to close or reorganize Linden-McKinley. And I'll never forget going several times and fighting and having to stand up and being very vocal, and one of those people to fight to keep Linden open. And we had a meeting at East High School, and I remember standing in there and being extremely passionate and getting the attention of the school board members and folks. And I don't know if it was just me, but Linden is still open. Who's my life hero and why? I have several heroes. I think it sounds cheesy, but my parents. I was one of those kids. I was in everything. I was the youngest of four, and my siblings were always engaged in stuff, but my parents always made sure that they cultivated our interests. And I had a lot of interests, but when it came to TV and radio, I started radio at 10, TV at 11 to about 16 or 17. But they always stood behind me. They always made a way out of no way. They always knew that their actions, affected me. I never felt unloved. They loved me unconditionally. My siblings, my parents went so much and sacrificed so much for us to have. My favorite hobby, I would like to think, is traveling, but now that we're stuck in COVID, this is the worst. However, there's also the sense of exploring. I love learning new things. I love getting out. I've been away from Columbus for the better part of 20 years. So coming back and getting to find new restaurants, going to new bars, new venues, seeing new paintings, and just exploring. But that all falls under the idea of learning something new. What would people be most surprised to learn about me? I think it would shock people that I am much of an introvert. People see me at different events, they see me in front of the room, they see me talking, they see me in their homes every night on the news, and that it's interesting to be able to do that, but there's a part of me that just loves to shut down and be to myself. I think people would also be shocked to know that I'm really considering getting Botox in my underarms to stop this, you get the sweats and all that. It's a mess. A friend of mine did it. Here's a great thing, and I'm thinking about doing that. Let's see. My childhood best friend, I'm gonna say two, because if they see this, they would be jealous. But Marquita and Nathan. Oh, and then Michael. I have to throw Michael in there. We were like a pack, a running pack. Though Nathan didn't come. I didn't like Nathan in middle school. He came along in high school. But that is my ace, my brother from another mother. There's some really good friends. I'm still good friends with them until today. Writing. Writing is it's therapeutic in many ways. I've found that I'm able to educate people through writing. I can inspire people. I learn something. If I sit there and write by typing, it can provide a release. Not often, but I would sit down and journal sometimes, and it's nothing like having a pen and paper to sit and write a story and write your personal feelings. And once you do that, you find that you've expressed yourself in so many different ways. Ooh, favorite dessert. should be water, but probably mint chocolate chip ice cream and sweet potato pie. Favorite quote, I think one of the greatest orators of our time is Oprah Winfrey. She has just a phenomenal story. And one thing that she always encourages is validating people and their experiences. And she says it's a common thread that we all want, we all believe in. People want to know, do you see me? Do you hear me? And does what I say mean anything to you? My life mantra. I ain't got no life mantra. No, I would probably say, I remember, we're always taught the golden rule, treat others how you would want to be treated. I remember being introduced to what we call the platinum rule, is to treat people how they want to be treated. A 15-year-old Kerry, I would say relax, drink more water, read, and it's going to work out. Keep doing what you're doing, stay focused, know that people are watching you, you are a leader, you are important, you matter, and you're going to be all right. No, I wasn't born in Columbus. I was born in Houston, Texas. My family, my mother grew up in Columbus. My dad was in the military and they met at some point. They married, lived away for years, lived in Texas, and then came back to Columbus. But I've been here since I was a kid, except for an adulthood when I left to work in other places. But came here, started kindergarten here, which was then Columbus Public Schools, is what most of us know it as. It's so funny calling it Columbus City Schools now, but matriculated through Columbus Public. Something else people don't know is that I actually started at Ohio State, but I wanted to get away from Columbus. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, because the school that was my number one choice didn't have my major, so they couldn't, cater my needs academically. So I went to Ohio State, and then I knew I wanted to get away. All my friends, they were away, and so I ended up in Cincinnati. And it was just such a cool experience, and got down there and just really found myself. I remember I was there for about a month, maybe 2 months, and I came home and I had a do-rag on. And my parents, they didn't say anything, because then they would have flipped out had I stopped and went out in public. But they knew I had just gotten on the road and came home. And I said, hey, I want to see what I did with my hair. And my dad's like, what? And I took it off and I had these little twists. And I said, I'm locking my hair. And my dad's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grow them. And then my hair took off. And so by the time I graduated, my hair was down to here. And that was the first thing that I did without having to ask my parents for their opinions. I think that was the first thing that they realized, we have a young adult here and this is our baby, but he's off to do his own thing. So anyway, I went to University of Cincinnati, was heavily involved there, loved it. I did an internship my last quarter in college, and I waited because I protested, because all of the business students, they got a salary for their internships and what have you, but we, communication students, TV stations, then they didn't pay you. And I thought that was crazy, so I was like, I'm not doing an internship, blah, blah, blah. Got an internship, and I was hired right out of that internship at the Fox station in Cincinnati. So I worked behind the scenes there for a couple years. I came to Columbus and worked at Channel 6. Really good friends with Yolanda Harris. I was one of her producers. Terrible producer, might I add. But we had a great time. And
that's a tough job.
It is a tough job.
Yeah.
You don't get any credit for anything that goes right. Everything that goes wrong, it falls on you.
Mm-hmm.
I got laid off at Channel 6. I think there were 3 rounds of layoffs at this point. I got laid off the 3rd round. My last day was on a Friday. That Monday, I interviewed in Shreveport, Louisiana for a reporter position and got the job. And that news director who hired me, she's from Columbus.
Really?
And so she used to work at Channel 4, and it's interesting to be in the newsroom where she used to work, where so many people actually worked with her. I did that for a couple years. I left and went to Greensboro, North Carolina to anchor the morning news. Did that for 7 years and loved it, loved everything about it. My mother was born in North Carolina, so I got to do a lot of tracing family roots. I won an Emmy in North Carolina. I covered Barack Obama's Democratic National Convention, Hillary Clinton's Democratic National Convention, Donald Trump's National Convention. I was at the shooting in Charleston. I was there when the flag came down, South Carolina. Having been in a number of places has been real interesting because for me, it's not about just going there to do the work. I know that when I go, and even if I go and I post a picture on Facebook, let's say, I know how many people back home in Columbus are watching and they're seeing that through my eyes. And for me, it's the reminder that you don't show up by yourself. So many people go along with you on the journey. And so that's been cool. Left Greensboro and went to Atlanta, which I didn't want to go. My agent called me and one day and she says, "Kerry, there's a station interested in you in Atlanta." I already told her I wasn't interested in working in Atlanta, and she told me the station. I was like, "Whoa, this is like a legit station. This is the Fox affiliate there." And they brought me on as a weekend anchor, and so I anchored weekends for 2 years, and then the unfortunate opportunity came open to come to Columbus. The only reason I have this job is because I'm a phenomenal icon I grew up watching had a massive stroke, Mike Jackson. And so now I'm carrying the mantle from him and got to see him since I've been home and some of the other folks. So that's a lot of that. I also I should back up because this may be interesting in the years to come. When I was about 9 years old, my mother was a nurse at Children's Hospital. We used to have the Children's Miracle Network telethon. And so they had like a carnival or something, and we were standing outside and I saw two people over here and I couldn't figure out what they were doing. I just happened to look up and see a guy in the bucket of a fire truck. And then I looked over on the ground and I saw a TV monitor. And then it all came together that these were the people from the news. These were the anchors and this was the chief meteorologist. And they were talking to each other. And I was so enamored with what was going on. And I literally looked up at my mother and I said, "That's what I want to do when I grow up." And so from there was Channel 10 used to have a program called the Kids News Network. It aired Saturday mornings. I'd applied for that, got rejected. My mom found a radio program, got me in that. I did that for a year, and then I applied for the TV program again and got it. And so did that, and it was just awesome experience. And here I am today, hoping that some kid is sitting, in Linden or wherever, East Columbus, South Side, who come from those communities where people tell you can't do, you won't do. People who look like you, they don't do X, Y, Z. I remember, when I would say, I want to grow up and be a news anchor. Now, I was on TV as a kid where people could cultivate that, and there were adults who were like, okay, we'll find something else. But I hope that kids here can see a little bit of themselves in my story, that they can go on and do. And it's not just kids, it's the adults as well.